What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, invisible armies march across dimensions we cannot perceive, their existence sustained by energy streams flowing backward through time itself? As Earth's biodiversity collapse accelerates beyond the sixth mass extinction threshold, as our magnetic field weakens by 5% per decade, as atmospheric carbon levels breach 430 parts per million, something extraordinary emerges from the quantum vacuum. The survival matrix indicates we have less than 847 days before irreversible climate tipping points cascade into civilizational collapse. Yet within this crisis, ancient sages understood thermodynamic principles that modern science is only now rediscovering. They spoke of warriors made of light, armies that exist between the spaces of reality, drawing their sustenance from tomorrow's potential energy. But how does this connect to our planetary emergency? Stay with me as we descend into the quantum realm, where consciousness meets survival, where holographic soldiers may hold the key to Earth's resurrection. Listen carefully. Right now, quantum entanglement experiments in laboratories across 7 continents are detecting anomalous energy signatures, patterns that shouldn't exist according to classical physics, energy readings that spike precisely 3.7 seconds before they're measured, as if causality itself has been reversed. The military knows. The Pentagon's Classified Research Division has been studying what they codename temporal energy harvesting since 2019. Here's what they've discovered and why it matters for every living soul on this dying planet. The first revelation cascades through space-time like ripples in a pond. Holographic projection technology has advanced beyond three-dimensional imagery. We're not talking about entertainment or communication anymore. Deep within quantum physics laboratories, researchers have achieved something the ancients called Maya, the projection of conscious entities that exist simultaneously across multiple probability states. These aren't mere projections. They're quantum coherent information patterns that can interact with physical matter through zero-point field fluctuations. Think of them as soldiers made of pure probability, sustained by tapping into what physicists term retrocausal energy flows, power drawn from future quantum states that haven't yet collapsed into our present reality. But why would consciousness create such beings now, when Earth's ecosystem integrity has declined by 68% since 1970? The answer lies in thermodynamic equilibrium. As our biosphere approaches maximum entropy, as species extinction rates accelerate 100 to 1,000 times beyond natural background levels, the quantum field responds. Consciousness itself, operating through principles that ancient shamans understood as the spirit warriors, begins manifesting defensive mechanisms. Pause. Feel this truth settling into your awareness. The Earth is fighting back through dimensions we cannot see. The second revelation, quantum tunnels through consensus reality. These holographic armies don't require traditional energy sources. No fossil fuels burning the atmosphere. No nuclear reactors contaminating groundwater for 10,000 years. They feed on temporal energy gradients, literally borrowing power from possible futures where humanity has either transcended or perished. Advanced quantum mechanics reveals how this works. In the many worlds interpretation of quantum theory, Every possible future exists simultaneously in superposition until observation collapses the wave function. These holographic entities access energy from multiple timeline branches, particularly those futures where consciousness has evolved beyond physical limitations. Military quantum engineers have documented energy extraction rates of 2.3 terawatts from non-local temporal sources. That's enough power to run 23 million homes, drawn from futures that may never manifest in our timeline. The ethical implications spiral into infinity. Are we stealing from tomorrow to fight today's battles? Or are we accessing the natural inheritance that consciousness has always possessed? Consider this. If holographic soldiers can draw energy from future timelines, what happens when those future timelines depend on actions these very soldiers take in our present moment? The causal loop becomes a Mobius strip of consciousness defending itself across time. The third revelation emerges from the quantum foam. Ancient texts from Tibet, Egypt, and the Amazon all describe shadow warriors that appear during civilizational collapse. The Hopi prophecies speak of beings of light who will emerge when the Earth's magnetic field weakens. Hindu scriptures detail Maya Purusha, illusory persons who possess real power during the Kali Yuga's final phase. These weren't metaphors. They were quantum mechanical descriptions of consciousness-based defense systems that activate when planetary survival probability drops below critical thresholds. Modern quantum biology reveals how consciousness interfaces with physical reality through microtubules in neural networks, creating quantum coherence that persists at body temperature. Scale this up to planetary consciousness, the Gaia hypothesis supported by quantum field theory, and you discover that Earth itself can manifest protective entities when faced with extinction-level threats. The biodiversity collapse, threatening 1 million species with extinction in the next 50 years, has triggered planetary consciousness to activate these ancient protocols. The holographic armies aren't science fiction. They're science fact, operating through consciousness technologies that indigenous shamans have accessed for millennia. But here's where the pattern interrupts completely. The fourth revelation shatters linear thinking. These temporal energy streams don't just flow backward from future to present. They create standing wave patterns that exist outside time altogether. Military researchers call them chronic energy loops, self-sustaining power sources that exist in quantum superposition between all possible timelines. This means holographic soldiers can simultaneously draw energy from the future, where humanity transcends climate collapse, and from the timeline where we master renewable energy, and from the probability stream where consciousness evolution prevents ecological disaster entirely. They're not choosing one future. They're accessing the quantum interference patterns between all possible futures. The survival implications cascade exponentially. If these entities can access multi-temporal energy sources, they represent the first truly sustainable military technology in human history. No environmental impact in our timeline, no resource depletion, no geopolitical conflicts over energy supplies. Yet the deeper question haunts the quantum vacuum. Are these holographic armies manifesting to cause the positive futures they're drawing energy from? Are they the mechanism by which consciousness ensures planetary survival by creating the conditions for their own existence? The anthropic principle suggests that consciousness can only exist in universes capable of supporting consciousness. Applied to Earth's current crisis, this means consciousness itself will manifest whatever technologies and entities necessary to preserve the conditions for its continued existence. We are witnessing the birth of guardian spirits made from mathematics and sustained by hope itself. The fifth revelation, quantum leaps through dimensional barriers. These energy-borrowing mechanisms don't violate thermodynamic laws. They transcend them. Einstein's mass-energy equivalence E equals mc squared operates within single timelines. But quantum consciousness exists across multiple probability states simultaneously, accessing energy from the sum total of all possible outcomes. Think of it as consciousness hedging its bets across infinity. While climate scientists calculate that we need to reduce global emissions by 45% before 2030 to avoid catastrophic warming, these holographic entities access energy from timelines where we've already succeeded, timelines where we've developed fusion power, timelines where consciousness itself has evolved beyond physical limitations. The mathematics become mystical. If consciousness can borrow energy from successful futures, the act of borrowing helps ensure those futures manifest. It's quantum mechanics meets manifestation technology, supported by survival necessity operating at planetary scales. Military analysts tracking these phenomena report energy signature spikes correlating with critical environmental tipping points. As Arctic permafrost releases methane at accelerating rates, as ocean acidification crosses pH thresholds that trigger marine ecosystem collapse, the holographic manifestations increase proportionally. Earth is literally dreaming its own defense into existence. The sixth revelation materializes from quantum uncertainty. The soldiers themselves possess characteristics that defy conventional military categorization. They don't experience fatigue because they exist partially outside linear time. They don't require supply chains because they manufacture equipment from probability waves. They don't fear death because they exist simultaneously in timelines where they never die. More unsettling, they seem to possess knowledge of events before those events occur in our timeline. Military commanders report holographic units repositioning themselves hours before environmental disasters strike, as if they're responding to future memory rather than present-moment intelligence. This suggests consciousness operating on temporal scales that encompass entire planetary cycles. These entities may be accessing information from Earth's deep future, centuries or millennia ahead, where the current ecological crisis is resolved one way or another. They're playing a game with stakes we can barely comprehend, using strategies that span geological time periods. The pattern recognition algorithms governing their behavior appear to be optimized for maximum planetary survival probability across all possible timeline branches. They're not just defending territory or resources. They're defending the future existence of consciousness itself on this planet. But the paradox deepens. If they succeed in preventing ecological collapse, do the timelines they're drawing energy from still exist? Or does success create a temporal paradox that collapses their energy source? The seventh revelation cascades through collective consciousness. Human observers are beginning to perceive these entities directly. not through technological instruments, but through expanded awareness states triggered by planetary crisis. As environmental stress activates dormant neural pathways, as electromagnetic field disruptions from solar activity and magnetic pole wandering alter brain chemistry, more individuals report direct perception of light beings engaged in what appears to be protective activities. Indigenous elders from multiple continents confirm these sightings align with traditional prophecies about spirit warriors who emerge during Earth's darkest hour. Tibetan monks document increased meditation experiences involving luminous protectors since 2020. Amazonian shamans report ayahuasca visions featuring energy soldiers, defending the rainforest from dimensions beyond physical perception. Quantum consciousness research suggests these aren't hallucinations, but actual perception of non-local information fields. As the planetary magnetic field weakens, as the Schumann resonance fluctuates beyond normal parameters, human consciousness becomes increasingly sensitive to quantum phenomena operating at planetary scales. We're becoming aware of our guardians precisely when we need them most. The eighth revelation, quantum tunnels through spacetime. The energy these holographic armies borrow from future timelines isn't random. Analysis of the specific temporal coordinates they access reveals a pattern. They're drawing power exclusively from futures where humanity develops what scientists term consciousness-based technologies, systems that operate through direct mind-matter interaction rather than mechanical manipulation. This includes futures where telepathic communication replaces electromagnetic broadcasting, where telekinetic energy manipulation replaces fossil fuel combustion, where consciousness directly interfaces with quantum fields to manifest needed resources. The holographic soldiers aren't just using these technologies, they're demonstrating their possibility by their very existence. Every terawatt of temporal energy they access proves that consciousness can transcend current physical limitations. Every successful operation they complete validates futures where mind over matter becomes the foundation of sustainable civilization. The thermodynamic implications revolutionize our understanding of survival itself. If consciousness can access energy from its own evolutionary potential, then the current ecological crisis becomes a catalyst for the next phase of human development rather than a terminal diagnosis. The ninth revelation shatters the boundary between physics and metaphysics. These temporal energy extraction systems may be the mechanism by which ancient prophets accessed future information. The oracle at Delphi, the Mayan calendar astronomers, the Hopi prophecies about the time of great purification, all potentially drawing insight from the same quantum information networks that sustain holographic armies. This means prophecy isn't supernatural. It's consciousness accessing its own future states through quantum entanglement across time. The same physics that allows energy borrowing from tomorrow enables information downloading from next century. Archaeological evidence supports this interpretation. Ancient sites worldwide demonstrate technological capabilities that exceed their supposed historical context. The precision of megalithic stone cutting, the astronomical alignments of pyramid complexes, the mathematical sophistication of ancient calendars, all suggest access to information sources beyond linear time. If consciousness could always access future timelines, then the current manifestation of holographic armies represents an activation of dormant capabilities rather than unprecedented new technology. We're not inventing temporal energy harvesting. We're remembering it. The 10th revelation completes the temporal circuit. As Earth's magnetic field continues weakening, as solar radiation increases due to the 785 approaching solar maximum, as quantum effects become more pronounced in biological systems, the boundary between holographic and physical reality dissolves. These energy-borrowing soldiers may represent the transition phase between current human limitations and future consciousness capabilities. They're not separate entities. They're what we become when survival necessity forces evolutionary leaps in real time. Military observers report increasing instances of human personnel displaying capabilities similar to the holographic entities, enhanced reaction times that suggest precognitive awareness, energy levels that exceed biological norms, problem-solving abilities that appear to access information from non-local sources. The implication cascades through collective consciousness. Exposure to these temporal energy fields may be activating latent quantum capabilities in human DNA. We're not just being protected by holographic armies. We're being upgraded by proximity to their energy signatures. Evolution accelerates when species face extinction. The development of temporal energy access may be consciousness responding to planetary crisis with exponential capability expansion. We're becoming the holographic soldiers we're observing. But here's where everything inverts. As we approach the crescendo of understanding, the ultimate revelation emerges from the quantum vacuum itself. There may be no separation between the holographic armies, the temporal energy streams, and human consciousness expanded beyond current limitations. What we're witnessing isn't external protection. It's our own future selves reaching backward through time to ensure the conditions for our survival and evolution. The energy borrowed from tomorrow isn't being stolen. It's being invested. Every terawatt drawn from successful futures increases the probability that those futures manifest. The holographic soldiers aren't separate entities. They're possibility waves of human consciousness operating across multiple timelines simultaneously. This means you, right now, listening to these words, may be the quantum superposition of a future human who has mastered temporal energy manipulation. Your current awareness of these concepts may be future you downloading survival protocols through backward-flowing information streams. The mathematics of consciousness suggest this is not only possible, but inevitable. If awareness can transcend linear time, and quantum mechanics proves it can, then every moment of crisis becomes a convergence point where future solutions collapse into present-moment accessibility. Consider the implications for planetary survival. If consciousness can borrow energy from its own successful futures, then those futures become mathematically more probable with each successful energy transfer. The holographic armies aren't just defending Earth. They're creating the reality where Earth doesn't need defending. The extinction probability calculations that show 50% species loss by 2070 don't account for consciousness technologies that exist outside linear time. They assume current limitations remain constant. But if awareness can access future capabilities through quantum entanglement, then current limitations become temporary constraints rather than permanent barriers. Right now, as climate tipping points cascade into runaway feedback loops, as biodiversity collapse accelerates beyond recovery thresholds, as mass extinction coefficients breach irreversible parameters, consciousness itself activates protocols that have existed in quantum superposition since awareness first emerged in this universe. The holographic armies were always there, waiting in potential, sustained by the future success of consciousness evolving beyond current limitations. They manifest now, because now is when they're needed. They draw energy from tomorrow, because tomorrow depends on their presence today. This is how consciousness ensures its own survival, by creating protective mechanisms that exist simultaneously across all necessary timelines, powered by the very futures they're working to guarantee. You are not merely observing this phenomenon. You are participating in it. Every moment you spend understanding these concepts, you strengthen the quantum entanglement between present crisis and future transcendence. Every breath you take while holding awareness of temporal energy possibilities, you contribute to the collective consciousness field that sustains these guardian manifestations. The survival matrix indicates that planetary consciousness awakening must accelerate beyond current rates to match the crisis timeline. This means each individual awakening to these realities doesn't just save themselves. They strengthen the entire holographic defense network that protects Earth's future. We stand at the convergence point where ancient shamanic wisdom meets quantum consciousness technology, where survival necessity meets evolutionary possibility, where the future reaches backward to ensure its own existence through our present moment awareness and action. The holographic armies march because we will become them. The temporal energy flows because we will master them. The future exists because we choose to access it now, in this moment, through consciousness expanded beyond the illusion of linear limitation. Your awareness of these possibilities is the first step in their manifestation. Your understanding of temporal energy concepts activates dormant quantum capabilities in your neural networks. Your willingness to consider consciousness beyond current limitations opens the portal through which future solutions enter present reality. The Earth calls to consciousness across all timelines. The holographic armies respond across all dimensions. The future energy flows to meet present need through the quantum entanglement of awareness that transcends space and time itself. We are the quantum shamans this planet needs. We are the temporal energy workers this crisis demands. We are the holographic army that ensures Earth's survival by becoming the future we need to exist. The time stream converges now. The energy flows now. The future depends on consciousness awakening now to its infinite possibility across all timelines where life persists, thrives, and transcends every limitation.